Happy New Year everybody, and welcome to the very first edition of Wrestling Showdown Rewind of 2021. Here's hoping this is a better year than last year, and here's hoping we can actually finally get out to bring you some live W3L action. As I'm sure you're aware, we have some dates already scheduled. These are of course subject to change, but these are the events we had scheduled for last April. They've been rescheduled a couple of times since. They may be again. We'll keep you informed as soon as we know you'll know. This is what is currently on the W3L schedule. We want to add to that as much as possible in the coming year. If you bought tickets for those shows back in April, they are still valid and they will remain valid, so you're not going to miss out. This is kind of what we are working with. And when we're back up and running, of course, Crafty Connoisseur will be back as a live event sponsor. Their online web store has always been open, it still is, so head to that, make a purchase, tell them that we said hello. If you're going to be making a purchase, I suggest you head off to the W3L website. You can buy a fan support package. Prices begin at only £5 and helps you help us to continue until we are able to be up and running again, bringing you more live W3L action. And for that money, you're going to get a DVD, you're going to get signed posters, cheap ringside tickets, an exclusive video message from a W3L star of your choice. And speaking of which, if you've seen the W3L Facebook page, we've had messages from various W3L stars wishing everyone a happy new year. If you've not seen them, go to the Facebook page and you'll get to see them. Another thing you may want to buy is one of our amazing t-shirts. We've got a whole range, there's new ones coming out all the time. Many of your favourite wrestlers have got a design specifically for them. There's some generic ones as well. They come in all shapes, sizes and types. You would have seen last week, of course, I was wearing the fantastic Christmas jumper, and this week I'm wearing the amazing W3L polo shirt. You can just see the Globe logo there. This is a really good quality polo shirt. It's well worth getting. If you've got some money to spend, pick up a t-shirt, and again we'll get that sent out to you. And of course, if you want to watch loads of W3L action, then yes, I know that you can easily watch us here every single Sunday at 12 o'clock. Here as part of Wrestling Showdown Rewind, but why not head to the W3L box office and watch some of our amazing events there. We've got full live events, compilations, the historic documentaries, all there for you to view via digital download ASAP, or even sooner if you want. So check all of that out. But it's a new year and we are continuing to bring you some of the classic footage from the archives. We're now reaching the November of 2011, so we're coming a bit more up to date. And we have got a match that is for the Heavyweight Championship. There's a proper heavyweight clash. Challenging for the title this week is the one to watch, Nathan Reynolds, the man who, let's not forget, in the very first edition of Showdown was defending the title all those years ago. But in this particular match from 2011, he is in the role of the challenger. And he's got a hard task ahead of him, because holding the heavyweight title back at that time was Damian O'Connor. You'll know him better these days as Killian Dain over in NXT. Yes, it's a platform to success, clearly holding the W3L Heavyweight Championship. So he is the champion. He's facing Nathan Reynolds with the title on the line. Who's going to get the first victory in Wrestling Showdown Rewind of 2021? Let's find out by going down to ringside for this week's match.
You I don't like because you're a holy midget. That's offensive. It's not offensive, maybe. Unfortunate.
Anyway, you're not guessing rather than me leaving. There'll be no championship match. Simple as that.
Well, you know about it. It's not up to you. So you can want Pat Peace for all I care. It's between me and him.
If he was a mini, you could still be 6 foot, though, you know. Come on, Ireland. Come on. Ireland.
Taking pot shots around the window, shot. And here was me being so nice and so generous. I went out to Tesco and I got you a little present.
Oh, you're trying now.
Because I know how much you like them and you're always trying to acquire them. You've got a little collection at home. So I got you a brand new potato. You want a microphone? Sorry, you got to be this tall. this man is in this ring, you people shut the hell up. Simple as that. I don't care how much money you take, because your money is in our pockets. Your wee dole money that you sign on for is in our pockets. Who said that? Who's the way shut up there?
Me! Shut it! Me!
That's so fun, Neil. Barrier this come up. So I'll tell you once, and I won't tell you again. Saturday in the match, when you will witness the greatest champion that Scotland and Ireland has ever produced.
Well, there, ladies and gentlemen, is the W3L Heavyweight Championship belt. The challenger from Scotland, Nathan Reynolds. The defending champion from Ireland, Damian O'Connor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Fordyce, here with you on Wrestling Showdown Rewind. And for our first episode of 2021, we return to the November of 2011 as we continue to go through the extensive W3L archives. As you see, we've got a match for the Heavyweight Championship. It's Nathan Reynolds, who's just being patted down by the referee, facing the defending champion Damian O'Connor, who's of course accompanied by Charles Boddington. And of course, if you're looking at O'Connor and thinking he looks familiar, then yes, you are right. He is the man that these days is known as NXT superstar Killian Dain, and I'm sure you're familiar with all of his exploits in NXT and on SmackDown as well. Maybe not as familiar with his time in W3L, but as you can see, he was the heavyweight champion. And there's some really interesting parallels in he and Reynolds, which is going to be a proper battle of the heavyweights, isn't it, for the heavyweight championship? We last saw Reynolds 6 weeks ago here on Wrestling Showdown Rewind in a match from January of 2009. Between then and now, he had continued to compete in W3L, and he had taken Charles Boddington as his manager, and that is of course Boddington patrolling at ringside. Can never take your eyes off him. We've seen him before. 14 weeks ago he was here on Rewind, managing Invincible, the match against Mike Mitchell. So he used to manage the crew of Nathan Reynolds, and at one point Boddington was the commissioner of W3L and would exert his authority whether everyone liked it or not. Oh, Connor just backing off. He's taking his time to take the pace. In the May of 2009, Reynolds, managed by Boddington, faced Mike Musso, and as a result of the stipulations, the idea was that if Musso won the match, then Boddington would no longer be the commissioner of W3L. And right enough, it was Reynolds that lost the contest to Mike Musso. Boddington lost all his power and meant he was no longer the commissioner. And this did not sit well with him. It did cause a bit of a rift between he and Reynolds. They sort of patched it over, however, but things never sat well between them. Reynolds continued to wrestle all the way until Resolution 3 before going on something of a hiatus from WCL. Ironically, at Resolution 3 we saw the debut of Damian O'Connor. He's a man that debuted back in 2005, trained and mainly competed through the west of Scotland, and had pretty much established himself through there by this point. Of course, came into W3L, and he was a fairly regular. He got the semi-finals of 7 Deadly Sins 2010 as Reynolds gets the advantage and backs O'Connor at the corner. Again, these are two big men, and Reynolds showing his power off there. Then in the August of 2010, the W3L Heavyweight Championship was somewhat in the air, and an interim Heavyweight Championship was inaugurated. Mike Musso was the original interim Heavyweight Champion. Now look at this, O'Connor backs Reynolds using a handful of hair as well. In August of 2010, O'Connor defeated Musso to become the interim Heavyweight Champion, and the interim and the main Heavyweight Championship would eventually be unified at Resolution 4, that being the October of 2010. So O'Connor had tasted gold before. He would get to the finals of 7 Deadly Sins in 2011, showing off what he could do. I mean, reaching the finals of 7 Deadly Sins is no easy task if you've ever watched any iteration of wrestling's toughest tournament. I think does he want a test of strength? Oh, he is. He's wanting a Greco-Roman knuckle lock here. Oh, Reynolds just faking it by switching hands, and O'Connor's not in any mood to play around. O'Connor's so deadly. Not only is he powerful, but he has a really good technical background as well. So he can out-wrestle you, but he can also just beat the heck at you as well. At a Resolution 5, Nathan Reynolds made his return to W3L, and he was accompanied by Charles Boddington, because Reynolds was one of the 4 men put in the tournament by W3L management to crown, at the time, the vacant W3L Heavyweight Championship. He faced Mike Moose in the first round, his arch nemesis, because they two have fought numerous times. You've seen them here on Rewind, of course, as O'Connor's got Reynolds against the ropes, almost literally. Oh, hold on, I'm going to get an eye on a ship here. And Reynolds ducks a clothesline and retaliates with one of his own, and O'Connor was not expecting that. And the power of Reynolds hoisting up O'Connor. He's a big man. I mean, in later years he would go on to become even bigger. But Reynolds slams him and O'Connor hits the floor. So yeah, Resolution 5, Reynolds returned to W3L. Boddington was once again his manager. Oh, and Reynolds just faked him out. See if he's going to dive on him there. But he lost in the first round of the tournament to Mike Moose, so he was gone. And Boddington was not pleased because his meal ticket had effectively failed him. As Reynolds dives upon O'Connor. Speaking of which, later on at Resolution 5, later that night, O'Connor won the famed golden ticket, winning a 4-way contest through controversial means. But he won the golden ticket and then he cashed it in later that night. During the tournament final in the main event Resolution 5, O'Connor came to ringside with Charles Boddington, who grabs Reynolds' foot and allows O'Connor to target the arm. And he used Boddington's briefcase, which I'm sure is lead lined or at least loaded with bricks or something, and that allowed O'Connor to cash in the golden ticket and effectively steal the heavyweight title, the one he is wearing right now when he's defending. And that was only like 2 months before this contest. That was as recent as that, quite frankly. Now continues targeting the arm. So in the space of one night at Resolution 5, Reynolds returned to W3L, lost his match. Boddington effectively fired him and walked away from him, and then Boddington joined up with O'Connor, clearly going wherever the success is. No loyalty from Boddington, it seems like. As long as you win matches for him, he's happy. So of course Reynolds got annoyed, as you would expect, feeling he had been abandoned, and it led to him perhaps changing his attitude as the referee forcing the break, because illegal use of the ropes there. And the crowd have taken to Nathan Reynolds, and he's become, you know, a bit more fun-loving. Obviously over the years that would come out of him even more. O'Connor just trying to intimidate the referee. And Reynolds pummeling away, but you can see that arm is giving him jip, and O'Connor keeps targeting it. Now, we saw how he's body slammed O'Connor, and it's really hard to throw your opponent around when you've only got one arm. And he goes to the floor, and O'Connor is arguing with the referee. O'Connor's an intimidating man. If you've ever spoken to him, I'm sure you'd find that. And again, he's got bigger and bigger as well. Look, comes back into the ring. Boddington's done some damage on the floor. And back on the arm. O'Connor, I mentioned he's got that good technical wrestling background. You know, he was trained in wrestling. Again, he can brawl with the best of them. But he knows all the holds to wear you down. And there's one of them, injuring that arm of Reynolds. Because when you're a wrestler like Reynolds and you generate a lot of power-based offense, it's so hard when your arm is injured. Again, you can't throw people around as easily. Maybe you can hit strikes, but you know, the slightest thing, even just something's moving the wrong way, causes you some grief. And Reynolds virtually choking himself here. So yeah, it was thanks to Boddington, who now gets involved again. Look at this, just targeting the arm once more. And you know that Reynolds wants to get some revenge on Boddington and whoever Boddington is managing. And Boddington would like to prove that Reynolds was just really a waste of space. At least certainly in his eyes anyway. And that's exactly what's happened. So we've got a situation where it's almost a handicap match. Of
course, over the years. Nathan Reynolds, he'd win 7 Deadly Sins in 2013. He'd then go on to the main event at Resolution 7. A 2-time heavyweight champion, tag team champion as well. He's not been in W3L, or certainly on Wrestling Showdown. We last saw him in December 2019 as part of the 5-year anniversary show. And a huge back elbow from O'Connor that ended whatever momentum that Reynolds had tried to generate there. And again, straight back to the arm, manipulating the fingers. He's trying to pull them out their sockets, wouldn't be at all surprised. See, kneeling on the bicep as well, twisting at the hands. That small joint manipulation, and right by the ropes too. I think trying to break the fingers of Nathan Reynolds. And again, kicks away at the bicep. And Damian O'Connor, of course, would hold the tag team championship later on. We've seen Scott Rennick here on Rewind. He and O'Connor, of course, becoming Britain's most wanted at one point, and they would hold the W3L Tag Team Championship. And then in June of 2016, he would join WWE. Again, I'm pretty sure familiar with all he has accomplished over there, so we'll not recap that. Reynolds just hammering him with these blows, and down he went. And again, he may only have one arm, but it's all he needs. And O'Connor's being felled. Reynolds throwing everything behind these forearms. And Reynolds with a spinebuster. Another nice parallel between these two men is that they've had long and well received wars with Mike Musso. Reynolds, is he maybe taking a bit of time to showboat? And Boddington jumps on the apron. In fairness to Boddington, while he might be an annoyance, he does know what he's doing, and he does get involved on his client's behalf. Doesn't always pan out for him, as you can see. Reynolds coming off the ropes. And he drops an elbow onto Boddington, who in turn is lying on O'Connor. Don't know who got the worst of that. And Boddington took the elbow in the back, but O'Connor probably had the taste of Boddington's cheap suit in his mouth. And a neck breaker. You see, that was one of these few moves that he could really kind of do with one arm. And look at the cover though. Let's get a foot in the ropes. Not the best of covers, because again, that arm is giving him grief. I mean, you get a surge of adrenaline, you can at times almost fight through the pain, but only for so long. Boddington trying to get a chant of cheat going at Nathan Reynolds. As well as directing that himself, I think. Oh, and that's a big man to be lifting, and again, Boddington. The referee now trying to get him off the apron. And you would think by now that Boddington would know better. Reynolds threatening to deck him, even with a bad arm as well. Oh, he blocked a kick. And dumps down O'Connor on his face. Again, I don't know how much he could lift him with that bad arm, but it was enough to drop Damian O'Connor face first on the unforgiving W3L canvas. But as you can see, it's not enough to put him away quite yet. And you know that Boddington, if O'Connor loses this contest and drops the heavyweight title, he'll abandon him, even before the bells finish ringing. Because that's the kind of man Boddington is. If you're successful in your winning matches, he will follow you, he will manage you. As soon as you start losing, you're out the door. It's rolled up there, but oh, right with the briefcase! Boddington hit him with that briefcase. And again, I don't know what's in it, but it's rock solid. And that is all it took. O'Connor kicked Reynolds off. He went flying to the ropes, and Boddington smacked him in the head with that briefcase. And it's knocked him cold, or at least knocked him loopy enough to get pinned. Boddington earns his keep, proves why he's been a successful manager. And again, you may not like him as a person, you may like him as a manager, but the fact is that he does know what he's doing. Boddington, that loaded briefcase again, and targets the arm of Nathan Reynolds. And it's bad enough that they've won the match, double teaming Reynolds, continuing to attack the arm. Now they're trying to take him out permanently, and this is partly revenge for Reynolds losing that match that cost Boddington the commissionership. You know it is. This has now become personal, I would say. And his new meal ticket, Damian O'Connor, trying to cripple Nathan Reynolds, trying to injure him permanently and take him out of wrestling forever. As he continues assaulting him with a briefcase. This is the hallmark of O'Connor and Boddington's reign with the heavyweight title.
You call yourself a champion, O'Connor. That's how you won your championship. I think you're probably the best.
Nathan Reynolds is cheated out of becoming the heavyweight champion by Charles Boddington in that infamous loaded briefcase. But you know what, it's still a nice thing to do, to be able to look back through the archives. I know I've said this before, it's the great thing about Rewind. We get to revisit matches that have been forgotten about, wrestlers that people just maybe didn't remember. And in the case of Damian O'Connor, yes, you'll know him from NXT, you'll know what he's been doing now, but it's nice to be able to see his formative years, to see his path towards reaching NXT, which took him through W3L and took him to the W3L Heavyweight Championship. And you get a classic match like that every single Sunday at 12 o'clock. So if you've not hit subscribe on the W3L network, please do, and we will bring you a new episode of Wrestling Showdown Rewind every Sunday at 12. I mean, if you don't subscribe, we're still going to bring you an episode anyway, so you should, and save the hassle. And if you want to watch more footage of us, why not help the W3L box office? Again, we've got full live events, compilations of documentaries, all we're seeing. You can get involved via digital download, all of which we'll do until we're bringing you live wrestling again. These are the dates currently penciled in. They are subject to change, of course. They're rescheduled from last year. All the original tickets remain valid. This is what we're working with. Hopefully we can add to that as soon as is humanly possible. And when we do come back, we will have Crafty Connoisseur on board as our live event sponsor. You should consider making a purchase from them. Take part in the remote tastings if that's your thing. Make a purchase until that we settle if you're going to buy anything. But a fan support package. Prices begin at $5. Helps you help us to continue just until we're back up and running with proper live wrestling. And again, for your money, you get DVDs, signed posters, cheap ringside tickets, and exclusive video messages from a W3L star of your choice. And you've got a whole bunch of t-shirts as well to get. Designs for your favourite wrestlers. There's designs for just for W3L itself. Get involved. There's all different types. Again, this polo shirt is really nice. I highly recommend getting one of these. It's properly good. And get involved. All those things are available right now from our website. It's w3lwrestling.com. Sign up to the mailing list while you're there, and then give us a like on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, join us over on Instagram, and subscribe to this channel. And then use that there hashtag and tell us what you thought about seeing a very younger Killian Dain. You can see his potential right there. Nathan Reynolds, though, I mean, came so close to becoming the new heavyweight champion, but as Boddington got involved, as he invariably would do. And that again is just a taste of the amazing stuff that we bring you every single Sunday here on the W3L network as part of Wrestling Showdown Rewind. So if you've hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified in 7 days' time. I'll be back with another fantastic archival clash. Who's going to be involved? What will happen? You'll find it in 7 days here on Wrestling Showdown Rewind.